Surprise! We're back to talk about how the Lubba lore changed everything, again. As of writing, it's been about 2 hours since Nintendo published Update 1.4.0 for Super Mario Galaxy 2, which, in addition to fixing a few graphical errors, adds an additional chapter to its storybook entitled Epilogue Journey. This update helps to bring the new Galaxy 2 storybook to parity with the original Galaxy 1 storybook, which was 9 chapters long in the original game and the Super Mario 3D All-Stars port, with an additional epilogue chapter entitled Good Night being added for the 2025 port. This update video assumes that you're at least aware of this Rosalina storybook narrative written for the original 2007 release of Super Mario Galaxy, and that you've already seen the mainline RoxieProxy episode, Super Mario Galaxy 2 Storybook Changes Everything, so please go and watch it if you haven't already. We're going to dive into the new Galaxy 2 chapter in just a minute, but first, let's take a brief look at Galaxy 1's epilogue Good Night, something I glossed over in that original video. Sometime after Rosalina makes the determination to revisit her home planet every 100 years, we see her attempt to rile down a group of restless Lumas in a scene that visually resembles the opening scene to the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but is otherwise presumably unrelated. The Lumas ask questions about a new world that they're expecting to visit soon in their search for their birthplace, and Rosalina calms them down by singing a lullaby, strumming on a guitar in reference to this piece of Super Mario Odyssey concept art. As the Lumas drift into slumber by Rosalina's bedside, Rosalina thinks, "It's so exciting to meet new people. It can be a little scary, but that's part of what makes it fun. Greeting old friends can be just as exciting." It seems that she, too, is excited at the possibility of visiting a new world. As Rosalina drifts to sleep, she says goodbye to those she met on her last journey, and hello to those she'll meet on the next journey. "May the stars shine down on you. Good night." The chapter closes on a shot of the Comet Observatory in its comet form, chasing the light to a new journey. I initially wrote Galaxy 1's new chapter off as a piece of optional fan service to tide Rosalina fans over while the real peak characters had their turn. All jokes aside, with the release of Galaxy 2's new epilogue, I'm now of the opinion that it and Galaxy 1's epilogues were created as parallels to one another, with Good Night sowing the seeds for Rosalina's new character arc, the first 3 Galaxy 2 chapters demonstrating how Rosalina's relationship to Lubba helps her grow as a motherly figure, and Journey being the culmination of Rosalina's trials and tribulations throughout the entirety of her storybook. Now, there are 3 things I noticed before I even read the first word of the 5th and final Lubba chapter. Firstly, so long as you've unlocked all 4 of the initial chapters, grabbing any star will unlock the 5th, including stars that you've already collected. As someone who made quick work of 100%ing the game after the port's release, I was delighted to unlock a new Rosalina-centric chapter after having done everything the game has to offer, reading into every new bit of lore that the port provided, and welcoming Rosalina to Starship Mario. Secondly, upon unlocking the 5th chapter, the cover of the storybook will turn white, differentiating itself from the brown cover of the original Rosalina storybook and its various adaptations. And, well, this could be for any number of reasons. Maybe Nintendo decided 6 months after the fact that both storybooks needed different colors so their contents could be discerned at a glance. Maybe the white cover indicates content that has not been adapted into the retail release of Rosalina's storybook, or maybe the brown cover will continue to be sold at retail alongside a new white cover variant which adapts the new chapters. Maybe the white cover is a visual cue for those who become Super Mario Galaxy fans after watching the film that its contents are a video game exclusive. Though this would be rather redundant, given the film hardly follows the outline of Super Mario Galaxy's plot to begin with. And finally, a brand new song entitled Journey has been added to the in-game soundtrack player as well as to Nintendo Music. This song plays exclusively during the epilogue chapter of Galaxy 2's storybook, and is notably the first song to be associated with the storybook and not use the same iconic synthesizer as the song Luma. Rather, Journey seems to be a cover of the Galaxy 1 track Family, which plays during the 120-star ending. It's jarring to hear a fully orchestrated song play in the background during one of these storybook chapters, but, as we're about to find out, the tonal shift really fits the more melancholy feel of this epilogue. To quickly recap the events of Super Mario Galaxy 2's Storybook, Chapter 1 establishes our three characters and the conflict of two twin Lumas being separated. Chapter 2 sees young Lubba build a starship and embark on a directionless journey as she suffers through the 5 stages of grief. Chapter 3 gives Rosalina a second chance to console the grief-stricken Lubba, which results in her embracing her new identity and making the determination to carry hope across the universe in pursuit for her twin sister. And the final chapter explores the twin Mari as she awakens in new worlds, her memories and extroverted personality breaking down over the course of 1,000 years and being replaced with an apathetic, nihilistic worldview. The story ends with Mari catching a glimpse of purple light in a pitch-black void and rediscovering her resolve, transforming into a star yet again so that she may someday be reunited with her twin. Initially, I concluded that Galaxy 2 Storybook was intentionally leaving the door open for a future Galaxy-related project to continue Lubba and Mari's search for one another, speculating that Mari was given a similar personality to the Luma Lee character seen in Illumination's Super Mario films as an attempt at multimedia storytelling. However, given the Super Mario Galaxy movie's decision to forego adapting Rosalina's storybook in favor of its own contrived and predictable backstory, I can thankfully report that there is no direct connection between the Mario games and Mario films, and this epilogue is the true conclusion to Nintendo's Galaxy-related anniversary events and to the Lubba and Mari character arcs. Epilogue Journey opens on Rosalina stargazing on the Comet Observatory in anticipation of a new star being born. Though this is an occasion she normally shared with all of the Lumas, she decides this time around to wait in the garden alone. Notably, the gate she approaches resembles the ones found across the observatory in-game, suggesting that the garden she plans on visiting is the very same as the one in that original game. Accompanied only by the sound of wind, Rosalina recalls spotting the grassy hill of her home planet as a child. Despite this memory being associated with her lowest point, she feels at peace in the quiet, starlit garden. While continuing the stargaze, Rosalina spots 2 streaks of light above. This is the only nod the epilogue makes to Lubba and Mari, as neither Luma appears physically or is mentioned by name. Notably, the purple light is now following the blue one, the direct inverse of the previous chapter's ending. The 2 lights don't move closer or further, following a pattern that Rosalina describes as playful. After some time, the 2 lights in the night sky dance around one another, moving faster and growing brighter until they explode with light, turning into a pair of twin suns. With the garden now bathed in sunlight, we see the iconic rock structure confirming that we've been here before. Rosalina greets the twin stars, a starbit falling from her cheeks. "Hello, new stars. It's nice to see you. And also, welcome back." As stated by Rosalina in the ending of Galaxy 1, the universe is in a constant cycle of rebirth that never repeats itself in quite the same way. I think the intention of showing us these stars at the end of Galaxy 2's storybook is to suggest that Lubba and Mari's journey ends at exactly the same spot it began, with the union of twin stars illuminating the observatory, their inextinguishable fire of hope shining down upon all its star children. Considering that the core of the controversy surrounding Galaxy 2's initial lack of story was the decision to reboot Galaxy 1's continuity in such a way that it could reintroduce areas, concepts, and characters from the first game in a more lighthearted manner, I think it's beautiful that the new storybook utilizes this fact to bring everything full circle with the original game and its storybook. At Rosalina's feet is a young girl with blue earrings who beckons the Lady of Shooting Stars to not cry. "Your mother's waiting for your tears to dry." For reasons that will only be obvious if you've seen or are aware of the plot of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, this page was met with initial concerns that the presence of blue earrings suggested the addition of a young Princess Peach to Rosalina's storybook. But, if you look at the context clues, it should be obvious that this isn't the case. The brown hair, white dress, and white tiara all perfectly match Rosalina's child design in the first game and earlier in this game. The dialogue refers to this character as the girl in exactly the same way that Rosalina was addressed in the original storybook, and these spherical blue earrings are seen in one drawing from the original storybook as well as throughout Galaxy 1's epilogue chapter. I imagine the earrings are simply part of the symbolism of Rosalina consoling her inner child, who bears the earrings as a sign of maturity following the grieving process. Rosalina, keeping her gaze upon the sky, tells the girl that the light of the newborn stars is so beautiful, it's hard not to be moved. The twin stars pull each other together such that they may never part as they forever orbit one another. Wiping the starbit from her eye, Rosalina explains to the girl that the twin stars each found their special someone. The girl, sadness filling her voice, wonders when she will find her special someone. Rosalina says to the girl that the strongest force in all the universe is a heart that never gives up, kindness emanating from her voice. Rosalina and the girl each grip the other's hand tightly, and the girl says, "Yes, I think that's how we must be." On the next page, the girl has disappeared and Rosalina leaves the garden, returning to the bedroom to put the restless Lummas to sleep with a bedtime story. As the dialogue describes how the sun's light has filled the garden ever since, and how the wind whistles through the meadow to the tune of a waltz, we see a butterfly appear where Rosalina was, bearing a striking resemblance to the one that nudged Mario awake in the ending of Super Mario Galaxy, the original Universal Reset. The story ends with an overexposed shot of the hills, Rosalina exiting the garden to the right, and the butterfly flying away to the left. Yet another beautiful and mesmerizing illustration that threatens to dethrone I'm Lubba, one half of the Twin Star Children, as my all-time favorite frame in all of Super Mario. If I may circle back around to the newly redrawn cover, there's one more possibility for the recolor I wanted to mention, and it has to do with the yin and yang. Super Mario Galaxy is a game full of dark environments and melancholy vibes, with light occasionally shining through in the form of bright and playful worlds. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a parallel to its predecessor, highlighting the boundless creativity and potential of space as a setting in fiction, while still making room for galaxies that capture the essence of the original game. The original Storybook chronicles the adventures of a young girl who faces dark truths within herself while surrounded by the light of loved ones. And the new Storybook follows a Lumma who spends so many years surrounded by isolating darkness that she forgets the light she was searching for was inside her all along. These stories sit within the isolated regions of the yin and yang, contrasting to the vibe of their respective games to serve as an intriguing parallel. But these newly added epilogues bring these stories full circle so that they may tie more naturally into their respective games. Galaxy 1's epilogue embracing the quiet serenity of deep space, and Galaxy 2's epilogue embracing the unyielding hope and light of bright stars and colorful planets. And finally, I wanted to talk about how Rosalina's characterization in this epilogue has finally put to rest my disappointment with the original Storybook, that being the small gap in personality between its version of Rosalina and the version of Rosalina depicted in in-game cutscenes. Rosalina confronting her young self, demonstrating how she's grown since the events of the original Storybook and embraces her inner child, is the missing piece I needed to finally truly see her as the masterclass of writing and characterization she is. Not that I ever doubted that Rosalina's Storybook is a wonderful narrative, even outside of the context of it originating from a mainline Super Mario game, but for the longest time I struggled to see Rosalina in Super Mario Galaxy as anything more than a vehicle with which the game could deliver its somewhat darker tone and optional storybook content, due to how inessential these elements of her character have been within the extended Mario series for many years. But now, in an era where we can directly compare and contrast an adaptation of Rosalina done wrong to a modern version of Rosalina that fully embraces and expands upon the darker, story-driven elements of her home game, I can finally say that I love Rosalina, and I have full confidence that whatever's next for her, and for storytelling in the Mario series as a whole, is going to be great. And though I spent a lot of time talking about Rosalina in this video, I'll never forget that it was Lubba's devotion to the twin star Mari, her fire of hope, that changed everything.